Why is your team failing to perform at a high level? What are they struggling with? In this episode, I will show you how to build a high-performing team that's motivated and engaged. Hello, and welcome back to the Nebraska Entrepreneur. This podcast is for Nebraska entrepreneurs who seek Kanne guidance from Midwest leadership. I'm Steve Kanne. I've been a successful entrepreneur in Nebraska for 20 years, helping and mentoring entrepreneurs and business leaders across the country. In today's episode, I'm going to break down some steps you need to take to ensure your team becomes the high-performing, engaged team you've always envisioned. I've been on this journey to build a high-performing team of leaders and role players for 30 years. As a role player and founder myself, I've learned what to do and what not to do. If your team fails to buy into your vision, they're not living your core values, communication is breaking down, and you're experiencing burnout, the one thing that I've learned in this journey is that it's just that. It's a journey. And probably the biggest thing I learned once I realized this is going to take a while, it's not going to happen overnight, is that I need to start working on myself. That means I need to understand, one, what do I want my team to see me as? How do I act? How do I think? How do I present myself? I had to really change the way I think, change the way I present myself, and really focus on the person that I'm trying to lead or mentor or teach. That's all those things are extremely important. And just to give an example, so I've worked with professional coaches, business coaches, even counselors. I've sought out expertise and advice from people that have done this before. I work with other entrepreneurs. I joined EO, and the common themes were, one, you got to fix yourself. You have to present yourself in a manner that you want your team to follow and mimic. The second thing that I learned really after working on myself, which was a journey, was that you have to have a good core, solid foundation before you can really get a team to understand what they're supposed to be doing. You know, for me, for us, our company, we really went, it was another journey. So we spent probably about 18 months really defining what our mission statement was, what our vision statement was, and what our core values are. We'd always had a mission statement or a vision statement. We had core values, but when we looked at them, we realized the mission statement didn't really explain why we do what we do. The vision statement was just, again, empty words that nobody really could buy into. They couldn't understand it. And so we were like, okay, this isn't going to work. Nobody's buying into this. They don't even know what it is. If you ask them what's our vision statement, you're going to get, if you ask 5 people, you probably get 5 different answers. And then probably the worst thing was the core values. We were not living our core values because they weren't us. And so we had to focus on really defining what we do, why we do it, right? Our mission, and then where we're going, which is our vision. We wanted to be able to know, okay, this is where we're going, and then teach our team why it's important to understand where we're going, but then really get them to buy into it. And then the last part about that around the core values is the core values need to define what your actions and attitudes are that you want to see, that you want people to experience. And those are probably some of the most important things. Once you get all that core foundation down and your people truly understand where you're going and how they're supposed to act and what their attitude should be every day, then you know you've got a good start. When it comes to building high-performing teams, there's one thing that you'll hear consistently about, and usually from your employees, is they get frustrated and experience burnout when they don't understand what their role is in the business. So it's really important that every single member of your team, whether it's the person in the warehouse that's shipping and receiving, or maybe it's the director of operations or VP of finance, every single person should have a clear role defined and how that role impacts the success of the business. If they can't answer truly what their role is and they can't tell you how their role impacts the business, they're not going to perform at the level you need. And for us, once we built that foundation and we got the values and the mission vision all done, then we went to work on that. So we really had to explain in great detail over and over again, because it's one of those things, the more you teach it, the more likely they are to remember it. So for us, and I've seen this in other businesses too, getting people to buy into the business requires them to buy into and feel ownership in their part. So also, it's important to know that not everyone is going to buy in. Some people may resist it. Some people may disagree with it. Some people say, that's not what I signed up to do. You're not going to get 100%. It's rare if you do. Good luck. But we just realized that's kind of what separates the leaders from the role players, or separates the people that should be on the bus versus people that should not be on the bus. So once you kind of filter that out and figure who gets it, who wants it, who has the capacity, then you're making progress and you're well on your way. But I can't stress enough how much this journey starts with you. Because if you're not communicating correctly, if you're not sharing your vision, if you're not living the core values yourself as the leader, as the founder, as the owner of the business, you're not going to be successful in getting your team to do the same thing. To me, a high-performing team is a team where everyone is engaged. There are no silos. There's healthy conflict. People are not afraid to participate. It's one thing, and I'm sure you've experienced it, everybody does, is you have meetings and you run the meeting and nobody says anything. I really, really work with the team, and I can't preach this enough. It's like, if people are in the room, they're expected to provide value. If they're not providing value, then they shouldn't be there. Whether it's in a meeting or just in the business in general. One of the things that I just heard this the other day, one of my managers had a meeting and one of the people that was in the meeting didn't say anything the whole time. 90-minute meeting, didn't say anything. Meeting gets over, he goes back to his desk, and this person follows him, and they go into his office, and then this person starts saying, oh yeah, that was a great meeting, but I got all these great ideas, and he starts listing off, like he had notes. And the manager is like, why didn't you say those in that meeting? Why didn't you bring them up? And you get a blank stare. Well, to me, a high-performing team is where everyone in the organization is thinking like an owner. They're participating, they're sharing their thoughts, they're sharing their ideas, they're asking, perspective gaining questions, they're leaning into other people's personality styles. And that is when you start to have with that, where everybody's doing that, wow, that's an amazing feeling. Another thing is engagement, but then even just like the health of the team itself is where everyone is, there's no silos where you've got this group versus this group versus this group, where it's true collaboration. And that's something that honestly, at our company, we struggled with that for a long time and tried to make things work that just weren't working. And we come to realize that sometimes silos are necessary, maybe inevitable, but if you can't break down those walls between the teams and the groups to get them to work together, boy, you'll be frustrated and you're going to have burnout and you're going to get burned out. So team collaboration is very important. A collaboration between the team members, even if they're on the same team, it's really important. And I would just say the last thing is just really good communication between everyone, really good communication, clear, concise. If there's anything that's vague, and people walk away, I always say partial information is dangerous information. If people walk away and don't ask questions and you say, do you got that? And they nod, it's on them now to make sure they do, or they should be coming back going, you know what, I don't understand this, or I don't agree with it. So a healthy team is one that's, like I said, they collaborate, they're highly engaged, they think strategically, they live your core values, they buy into that vision, where you're going, and they know how they provide value, and basically they see where their role contributes to the success of a business. I started out 30 years ago trying to lead people and manage people, and I didn't realize how much I didn't know. And you've probably heard me talk about this in other episodes, but it took a long time for me to truly understand what it meant to be a leader, and then to grow other leaders and to grow just team members. People want to know, again, how they matter, where they matter, and what their career progression is. And not everyone wants to be a leader. Not everyone wants to be an owner or a founder, but people still want to feel important. They want to feel needed. And it just, again, starts with me. And am I being vulnerable? Am I willing to admit mistakes? Am I communicating correctly? Am I humble? And do I show empathy? Do I show that I care? I have learned over the years that being curious and caring are two really, really important things when interacting with your team. That's really when I think people start to follow you, is they see, hey, this guy in my case, they're demonstrating the things that they talk about. They preach it. Not only now they're demonstrating it. I'm going to model myself after them. I had a conversation this week, a couple of different conversations actually, but one of the conversations, and we were talking about what it means to be an owner or act like an owner in an organization. And so they asked me, they said, Steve, how do you act like an owner? Like, what does that mean to you, act like an owner? And I told them, after they were going, I kind of let them talk, and they were going back and forth. And I said, well, for me, it starts in the parking lot. And then I get these strange looks. And I said, well, as I'm driving to the office in the morning, I'm thinking about my day and thinking about the meetings and thinking about maybe the issues on the table or strategy or what. But as soon as I get to the parking lot, it's just habit to me. I start looking at the building. I look at our vehicles, the employee vehicles. I'm looking to see if everything's nice and neat and in order. And I start there. And it's just a habit for me to go, okay, is this the what I want the public to see? Is this the persona of our business? And then I walk in the building, and immediately it's greeting people. It's asking them how they're doing, just simple things. How was your weekend? What'd you do this weekend? It was a holiday weekend. What'd you do? Did you have fun? Did you hang out with your family? And inevitably, I get the same question back. And then I go into storytelling mode of what I did. Maybe I didn't do anything, but I talk about, I wish I would have done this or that. But that's where I show a lot of vulnerability and honesty, because I don't ever try to sugarcoat things, but I'm naturally a positive person. People tend to gravitate towards that. And what I see over time is that the people on my team start to mimic that behavior. They start to open up more. They start to share more about their personal lives. They start to share more about their thoughts and their feelings, how they're feeling at the moment. And so that's where it starts for me to act as an owner, because it shows the team that I care, right? And I'm really, truly curious about what's going on in their lives outside of the office, outside of work. So what I was telling the team this, and it started to resonate. I could see that these people that were in the room with me, they were like, yeah, that makes sense. I never really thought of it that way. Starts in the parking lot. But that's just the beginning of it. That's where you start. You're not going to achieve success just by doing that. But then I get into more operational mode, right? So I'm going into meetings, I'm having conversations, and then my brain kind of starts to shift to more of that strategic thinking. what are we doing today that's going to advance our business and make sure that we're achieving our goals and really getting towards the success that we want. So then I go and I start asking the questions and seeking to understand, gaining perspective. I lean into other people's personality styles. So I'm saying, tell me more about that. Help me understand. Give me more information, because what I've learned the hard way is don't ask a question and then immediately start thinking about, I'm going to respond to whatever they answer, right? I've learned to slow the conversation down. I've learned to basically give them the forum to really communicate to me and to other leaders, my business partners, on how to communicate and share information, and then follow up with another question rather than respond. That's an art to it. Probably talk about that in some other podcasts, but it's very important that you really seek to understand. Remember, building a high-performing team is a journey. It can be a heavy lift, but you're not alone. There are people out there that have been through it, countless people. You watch this podcast, you go out and seek guidance or perspective from other entrepreneurs or leaders in general. You'll be surprised at how many people have been through this, have successfully done it, and are willing to help you. Don't ever think of yourself as an island and say, boy, this feels lonely, I'm frustrated, I don't know what to do. Reach out to the entrepreneur community. EO is a great resource. Chamber of Commerce, other business organizations, peer groups, peer organizations. There's plenty of people out there that can help you. So don't feel like you need to figure it out on your own. You can seek help. And the other thing is that you need to remember is it starts with you. So really evaluate your ability and your skill set and say, I need to get better, or I need to make some changes, and then seek the support and help that you need to do that. But once you figure out and fix you, it becomes a lot easier, and your team will start to see that and follow you. Thanks again for joining us on this episode of the Nebraska Entrepreneur Podcast. For more information, you can click the link now in the show notes.